Hi, this is Joe Welinske, and I'm the program manager for the second annual Northwest Technical Communication Conference taking place in Tacoma, Washington, September 7th and 8th. And I get a chance to speak with our many presenters. And today I am talking with Elly Searle. Hello, Elly. How you doing?
Hello.
Well, I'm in Seattle. Where are you speaking to us from today?
I'm also in Seattle today.
All right. Well, want to learn a little bit about you and the types of things that you're involved with. So maybe we could just start with you talking a little bit about your background and the type of work that you're involved in.
Sure, of course. When I tell people about my background, like to start way in the beginning because I actually started doing technical support. And I realized that there's a lot of time spent explaining things to people who are having problems that could be fixed earlier in the experience. And then I discovered the whole field of user experience and realized that these were my people. So I've been going on that route, and I did the HCD master's program at the University of Washington and just got a lot out of that, and the other people who went through the program. From there, I've gotten to do a couple of internships, one in Jordan and one in Beijing. So I've had some experience with international communication and what to think about when you're researching and designing for different audiences, which was really interesting and valuable. Spent some time at Microsoft working on Windows and getting started documentation. Oh, and I spent time working at Secure Computing on a firewall, so I had a very expert audience kind of back in the day. So then I moved over to a consumer audience and started thinking about like the mobile experience, what you need to write for that. And then from there I moved on to Nordstrom. So again, more consumer, but really getting to think through app, getting to think through website, what to write for that, beginning to think through physically being in the store. So a very omni-channel experience, which was a really fun challenge to kind of play with. And that was a really good environment because it paired the designers and the researchers and the writers right from the beginning. We were just completely integrated and realized we all just had different specialties within the experience, which was really fun. So yeah, now I've moved on to a different place, just to where it's new, so it's fun.
You mentioned that you took the formal route into learning about user experience, and then you've mentioned the writing aspect of that, and I know that's something that you're very passionate about. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about that combination of user experience and writing that's a part of your work?
Yeah, no, I'd love to talk about that. There's a lot of places I think that finally have, like, they have UX designers and they have UX researchers, and they're just starting to realize that there's value in having somebody who really focuses on the words. So in a user experience, everything that's in your interface in particular, it's really helpful to think of it as a conversation with your customer and really think, who am I to this person? Who are they to me? How would I talk to them in, like, face to face if things were going really well? How would I talk to them if things weren't going well? And like really working in that nuance and seeing how that really improves how well they get through their flows and doing the things that they need to do. So I'm really passionate about it, and in fact I've started teaching at a co-teach with another woman, Tori Pomajerski, at School of Visual Concepts, and we had just really great responses from it. And it's really fun to get people thinking about all the different nuances about the words in the interface as opposed to just the flow.
Well, talking about UX writing is certainly going to be one of the parts of your presentation at the conference, which is titled Write for Doing, Not for Reading. But maybe if you just talk a little bit about, what a day in the life is related to your UX writing. What are the kinds of things that you encounter in working on your project, and possibly some challenges that you run into?
Yeah, no, there's, like I said, most recently when I was at Nordstrom, it was really fun to work closely with the designers and the researchers to think through not only like what are the tasks, what things have to happen there, but how would the customer talk about it? What words make sense for them? And one of the other areas we worked in was with the internal tools. So what salespeople would be looking at, and realize that whatever they see in front of them, what they're reading, winds up being what they say to customers. So really being aware of what sounds jargony, but what makes sense, what sounds, too internal, but how can we rephrase that so that it just makes sense and takes less training? So we would work together on the designs, the initial flows, work really closely with user testing to get in different variations, like does this make sense to people? Does this respond to what emotional reaction do they have if we change the words that we use in different places? So it was a lot of iterating and just working closely and being like, hey, do we need words here? How often can I work with my designers to be like, what if we just don't even explain this? And have the design kind of account for it with the interaction. So it was really, really closely integrated to work through like what words we should be using where.
Well, one of the things that a lot of technical communication professionals run into is where people on the design and research side sometimes aren't sure where and how writers fit into the process. And I was just wondering from your experience, how it's been in terms of making sure that you're involved with the product throughout and that you're always up on whatever's going on during that development process.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work a couple of places where the researchers and designers were already open to it, but for those who weren't used to it or, it was new to them to work with writers from the beginning, I would also present things at like wall reviews and show them all the different ways we could go with something, and they would start to understand the value of exploring things just the way designers explore different things, or when we get variations into a usability test and they could see the customers having a very different emotional reaction or what made sense to them or what made them feel confident to continue with their tasks. So those are a couple of the things that I've found have been really good in winning people over to involving UX writing early in the process.
Well, we'll be learning more about your process during the session in Tacoma. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk with me about your work, and we'll see you in just a couple of months.
Thank you. I'm very excited. It should be a pretty interactive session, so I'm excited to see what I learned from people too.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Elly.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.